Welcome to the Queer Witch Project, your resource for all things queer and witchy. I am Damona Peacock, a fabulous, non-binary, neurospicy, ordained queerdo with a fascination for all things cycles, symbolism, and patterns.
And I'm Moonkittee, your queer femme poly kitchen witch and proud geek. Today's topic is queer basics protection.
Ooh, protection energy,
Yes,
protection work, protection
exactly.
spells.
So just a reminder that what we decided last time is we're doing a series on basics, whether you are just starting out or whether you want to learn a little bit more about things you might have forgotten. We thought it'd be fun to do a basic series. So this is the second in our Queer Basics series, Queer Basics of Witchcraft series.
Yeah, Queer Basics of Witchcraft. And the reason we want to talk about protection
Mm-hmm.
next as one of the, really the second episode of this series is as queer people, we can use any kind of extra protection we can find in many cases, whether
Absolutely.
that's people who come after us as individuals because of the lifestyle that we live or the expression of self that we choose to live authentically to, or even, politically there are people who want to come after some hard won rights and access to medical care and sometimes some protection spells around protecting the community and our right as humans and as queer people. Protection is very, very important energy working that we want
Yes.
to have at least a baseline
Mm-hmm.
knowledge.
Absolutely. So, what is the first thing when you think of protection?
The first thing I think of when it comes to protection work or
Mm-hmm.
protection magic, or even as a spell ingredient, is salt. Salt is like one of the most common,
Mm-hmm.
easily accessible, basic, but highly powerful and useful. And we talk about it a lot because it's so useful,
Mm-hmm.
kind of magical tools that I would use for protection and clearing out negative energy.
And it's so funny because salt now is found everywhere constantly. But what makes it such a fantastic magical ingredient is the history behind it. It was so rare once upon a
Mm,
time that it was worth as much as gold and really was a hard thing to find. It was a hard thing to do, but it added flavor to foods that were otherwise very bland. It was the first spice and that first kind of change of currency
yeah,
thing
apparently even the
happened.
word salary was a Roman word, salaria, that was meaning, like a salary for the soldiers so they could go buy salt.
Wow,
So
it's crazy.
salarius means of the salt.
And when you think about, because the salt over so many years, there are so many different salt idioms and superstitions that
Mm-hmm.
have popped up. Salt of the earth, salting the earth, two completely different things, which is
Yes.
hysterical because it can be positive. Salt of the earth, they are down to earth, they will give you their shirt off their back, they are grounded, they are dependable, they are everything. And then let's just salt the earth.
And that's
uh
like burning bridges. Like,
Burning bridges, making
we're
sure nothing can grow.
nothing's gonna grow here. We're gonna salt this earth over here because we are no longer invested in this land. Yep.
Exactly, but like, take things with a grain of salt.
Or being worth your salt, rubbing salt in the wound.
Right,
Yeah,
but
so
like,
lots of idioms about
mhm,
is very important in our
right.
culture.
And because it was so important, there's a lot of superstitions also around salt that are also very culturally
Hmm.
derivative. But the most
Don't
common
spill
one that
it.
you see across it, yeah, is something around spilling salt.
Yeah.
So yeah, if don't spill the salt, is one of them, because that's
So,
you're wasting a precious resource if it spills. So if you do spill it, what you need to do is throw spilled salt over your left shoulder.
yep, my superstitious but not
Mm-hmm.
very religious or spiritual mother taught
Yes.
me that one even. It's almost like you don't want to break a mirror, but you don't want to spill salt, but you
Mm-hmm.
can at least you can like bless you like by
Yeah.
throwing the salt over. I don't know.
You negate the negative energy of spilling salt by throwing it over your left shoulder. How that works, I don't know. But the thing is, it's an old wives' tale. It's that
Yeah.
superstition, but it came
Mm-hmm.
out of somewhere.
Mm,
And that's really
right.
fascinating to think about the idea of it.
Very
What do we
much.
actually do with this salt that we have
Okay.
been gathering and finding?
And making lots of idioms about. So salt is it's an earth, It's a rock,
Mhm,
it's like a centered in the elements energy,
mhm,
and it neutralizes things. Like
mhm,
also the earth, sending energy back to the earth itself is a neutralizing force. It is neither good nor bad, it is neither positive nor negative, it is
mhm,
a neutralizing force. So salt represents that really on a
mhm,
spiritual energetic level. And so even when somebody hires me to do like a space cleansing and blessing, specifically if you feel like you've got some hauntings going on or you need some protection because somebody is wishing you ill or whatever, one of the very first things I would suggest is taking some regular old table salt, or you can get some fancy pink salt or whatever you want to do, but and sprinkling salt in your thresholds.
mhm,
So your room thresholds, especially like any doors to the outside and into your windowsills. And it's just taking this barrier of protection around your home. You can even really, I've seen people salt their circle,
mhm.
before they do ritual space.
Yeah.
They would do a layer of protection salt around the magical circle space.
And you'll hear about that a lot if you read any fantasy novels, which I did a lot of as a kid, is anytime there
Circle of
were
salt.
circle of salt, anything related to magic, a circle of salt.
And we don't
Um,
want those demons escaping
don't
that we're
want those
conjuring.
demons, don't want those negative energies or entities. But yeah, no, it's that ability to neutralize and form a boundary.
Yep.
It's also great for cleaning crystals for that reason, for that neutralizing effect. So
Oh,
if you have a lot of crystals there's so many multiple ways to clean crystals.
dish of salt and let
Mhm.
the energies kind of themselves. It's
Uh,
very grounding. And just thinking about when you're even salting your food, that you're bringing in the earth into your earthly body, into your meals, and how you energize your body. It can be purifying and grounding, even as a tool of consumption. Of course, you don't
mhm,
want to oversalt your food, but a little spice makes
mhm.
everything nice.
And it's a necessary element for us as humans. We need a little bit of
Yeah.
salt in our diet. Okay, so salt. We've got definitely got salt on there.
Oh, you want some protection? Got any table salt? We'll get you fixed up.
And that's what's great
Yeah.
about it because it can be anything. You can get as
Yeah.
fancy as you want, or you can go to the Morton's blue jar with the girl with the umbrella.
She got you. She'll protect you from all that rain. I love that. Talk about
Right.
iconic symbology.
The one that I think of first beyond salt is crystals.
Right, because kind of salt leads into that idea of crystals.
Mm-hmm.
Again, with the idea that things of the earth is going
Mm-hmm.
to help you trap, attract, or neutralize any energies that you don't want hanging around. The very first crystal I think of when it comes to purifying, cleansing, and
Mm-hmm.
protection is selenite, because I kind of see it as the salty stone. Selenite is like if you take quartz and salt and they made a baby.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, you probably don't want to do this, but if you've ever tried to lick or taste selenite, it is salty. Selenite is just a very like salty mineral. So it does a lot of what salt does, but in a form of a crystal. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I will very often keep any kind of size of selenite, a sliver, a chunk, a wand in with tarot decks, or where I store
Mm-hmm.
my tarot deck,
That makes
because it
sense.
helps neutralize the energy off of whatever last readings I've done.
First one I think of is quartz because quartz
Yeah.
is, like you said, the selenite is that hybrid of salt and quartz. And quartz is just a good
Yeah.
old generalized salt. It's basically does the same function that salt does. It absorbs anything and or amplifies it depending on how you're going to use it. So it
Mm-hmm.
can be used to absorb the negative energy in a room, cleanse it, or it can be used to amplify things out. And that property of quartz crystals, I mean, they're in watches, there are
Yeah.
everything else. They have a vibration that allows them
Mm-hmm.
to do both. Quartz crystals you can get all over the place. You can get
Yep.
perfectly clear, beautiful ones that are cut into points. You can get rough chunks of quartz crystal. It really is, it doesn't matter how the crystal is. It's just that nature of that type of crystal. Like you said, the grounding, the connection back
Yep.
to the earth and that neutral.
One of my favorite things to do is there is a place local to me that's like my like nature escape spot, but it's called Granite Bay. And quartz, I don't know if people know this, but quartz and granite tend to form in the same places. So you can go out and I mean, let's just say it's called Granite Bay for a reason. And there's a lot of granite rocks in
Mhm.
this around this lake. And you can go find veins of quartz in giant rocks out there and just like ground in the nature of it all. It's
That's
really cool.
awesome. In there.
Yeah. I love finding quartz out in the wild because it's pretty, at least where I live, it's pretty common.
Other stones, obsidian is
Yeah.
another one that as a fire element I work with a lot. Again, found that connection with that deep black volcanic glass. So again, now
Yeah.
you're talking, instead of being of the earth, you are of fire.
I actually kind of get some kind of yin yang idea out of the idea of putting obsidian and quartz together
Hmm.
because you've got the
Onyx
black
too.
and the white and the clear. But yeah, onyx is another black stone, but yeah, obsidian, the volcanic glass
Hmm.
with the quartz.
And there are combinations of that. I want to say snowflake obsidian has flakes of quartz in it, so it's got both of those. There's a lot of different stones. Any of the black stones, your
Mm-hmm.
onyx, your or the dark stones, hematite,
Mm-hmm.
those tend to be absorbing. On a color spectrum, whites reflect and
Mm-hmm.
bounce, blacks absorb. So all of your
Mm-hmm.
dark stones absorb negative energy, can absorb energy. So for protection, if they're trying to keep yourself from an attack, it will absorb.
Yep. You can do all kinds of different things with it. Like you can hang a crystal in like your car somewhere
Right.
or put it in your car for protection in driving. But you can, a lot of people like to wear it as jewelry. You can put them in your windowsill.
No, there's a lot of different places that you can. That's why it's my next go-to after salt, is it's easily portable.
Yes,
It's easy
yes,
to tuck in a
right,
corner, it's easy to take with you. It's a little bit more challenging to take salt with you wherever you
right.
go. I guess you can kind of sometimes put it in a little container, but then it
Little
might
salt packet.
spill.
No.
And then you've got little salt grains around the bottom of your purse, which you may or may not like. It's just it's
Yeah.
a little
No.
it's crystals that are just a little too small.
It's sandy crystals. We don't want
It's
we don't need that.
we
No,
don't know.
yeah.
So
So
so yeah.
stones are very versatile. I want to say though, if you do adopt a stone specifically asking for its protection and or absorption of negative energy that you feel is whatever you're trying to change your luck, or you feel like somebody's really blasting you with energy or whatever, for whatever reason you feel like you want or need that protection relationship with a piece of stone, specifically if you're like wearing it as jewelry and that jewelry break,
Mhm.
it's not that it failed to protect you. It's, to me, the meaning is that it succeeded in
Mhm.
protecting you. It
Exactly.
broke because it took the brunt of whatever energetic hit was aimed at you, and that your protection is working. So
Yes.
like if you ever break stone jewelry, give that, love it, appreciate it for what it is because it's working. There are some stones that are softer and
Hmm.
will just naturally break. Like fluorite is
Hmm.
just really easy to break. Selenite also, it flakes off really easily depending on whether it's polished or not. Yeah, the way it's comprised is just easily breakable. But if you're wearing a protection necklace and that thing breaks off of you, my first thought is, well, that worked.
My first thought is, well, that worked. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Don't try to use it again.
Yeah,
At
it's
least
best to
not without
replace it if you
cleansing it.
could.
It's time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And cleanse and fix. Yeah, it
Cleanse and
depends.
fix or replace at that point, because it's the airbag thing. It took the
Right.
airbag,
It's been
it hit
deployed.
you, it's been deployed. You don't want to reshove that airbag back in and try to make it work a second time, because
Yep.
it's done its purpose. It's time to be thankful for it. And if it was something that was a heirloom or something that's precious to you, that doesn't mean throw it in the garbage. It could
Right.
mean put it on your altar or put it in a
Yep.
sacred place
Exactly.
for
Yeah.
remembrance and everything else. But I wouldn't use it again
But if you
after
are
it's.
trying to get rid of spell components or stone that's done its job and you don't want to keep it, giving it back to Mother Earth somehow
Yes.
is, as long as it's safe and non-toxic in some way, you can always just give it back to Mother Earth because Mother, again, the Earth likes to
Hmm.
neutralize the energy.
She'll clean the pieces and it will
Hmm.
get repurposed and reused back to the next time that someone needs it.
So, what other protection spells or tools do we use to create protection spells?
Oils
Definitely.
as something else that I use quite often, whether it's in like an aromatherapy sense, in a diffuser, but also extracts of herbs and blends. You can anoint doors and windows. You can anoint candles. You can anoint
Uh-huh.
yourself. One of the things that I do anytime I move into a new place is I will literally, I have some anointing oil and I will walk from my door clockwise around my house and anoint every door, every
Mm.
window, every threshold, doing a full circle around my house, back to the point, and then I link them. At night become my wards. So I will, as I lay in bed, I can sit there, imagine energy flying into that first, because I anoint with a star, anoint into it, and then follow the line literally around each window, door,
Mm.
mirror. I make sure I include mirrors in those too, all the way around the
Mm-hmm.
house. So
Portals.
lock it and center it, and then that's protection at night. And then that becomes a circle, which I then extend into a sphere. I bubble my house
Mm-hmm. I
in a
like
different
it.
way. And again, that's different ways that you can do, but I use that with an anointing oil.
And you can even take oils, herbs, essential oil essence specifically for protection,
Mm-hmm.
and you can even drop them in like a spray bottle with water
Mm-hmm.
and diffuse them through the water and then spray spaces like we do with like Florida water.
Exactly. So yeah, oils are, and then again, anointing candles. So if you have oils
Yes.
that are specifically designed around abundance or
Protection.
protection or fertility or whatever it may be that you're looking for, anointing the candle as it burns also helps. But again, especially for
Mm-hmm.
protection, because we're talking about protection more in this episode. But yeah, but anointing for protection, letting that candle burn. So never
So
let it burn unattended.
exactly. Don't leave a oily candle burning unattended. But
Yes.
yes, you can get the oil on the candle and let that essence be released into through the flame into the air and energy of the space around you. And even talking about oils, you mentioned like they can be of like herb. You can also dress candles with herb. And herb, they're earthy
Mm-hmm.
because they are plant material that was grown on and in the earth, and a lot of them have their own kind of symbols and
Mm-hmm.
meanings. And so, what kind of herbs would we invoke or use as an oil, or even as just like the plant material themselves to dress on candles or in a protection spell?
I want to say one little
Oh,
disclaimer. If you're going to dress candles with herbs, do not leave that candle unattended ever. It needs to be in your line of sight at all times
I can
because
speak from
herbs,
experience on this
yes,
one. They burn
they
when the
are
fire
high.
reaches them.
Yes,
Flames.
there's a reason we burn herbs as incense. They go up and they create. And when fire is no longer contained inside the candle, or the herbs are inside the candle that if you've poured your own and you've dressed it internally with herbs, the fire will hit those and they will go up. So just a word of caution, always keep an eye on that candle.
And if I do have an herb dressed candle, I often will burn it in a fireplace or a fire pit or a
Hmm.
cauldron. Like
Right.
if I'm doing any burning spell work, I will often prepare the space to
Yes.
contain the enflammes,
Yes. Make sure it's
because
away from
yes.
anything else flammable.
Yep.
Books, papers,
Yep.
clothes, anything else.
Yeah, so what
Um,
herbs do would you go to for if I'm saying like I need a protection spell? What
what
herbs
are
as a kitchen witch do you recommend people starting with?
the salt of the herb is rosemary.
That was exactly the first one that came to my mind too, just because
Yeah.
thinking of it like as such a resilient plant. I know people like will plant a giant rosemary bush
Mm-hmm.
under like their windows to protect their house.
Rosemary, sage, basil, lavender
Oh,
is
I
also
love
good.
basil. Oh, yeah.
Um, Garlic, rue, mugwort,
Oh,
black
mugwort, big
cohosh.
time.
Mhm.
Mm.
Another one that's fun is eggshells. So if you are save your eggshells, wash them, you can grind them up, crush them up, and use them as protection because
Because
the
they
eggshell is
use.
protecting the baby
Mm.
inside. It's also fantastic for as a fertilizer for plants if you're outdoor gardening.
Interesting. Yeah. So eggshells are good stuff too.
Eggshells are good stuff.
If we're not putting them on a candle or in an oil, what else can we do with some of these stones, herbs, oils, crystals?
Spell jars.
You
But
can
yeah,
make a
spell
protection spell jar.
adding the layer of cold and
Yep.
freezing people out literally.
Yep.
Can create bags.
Mojo bags. Yeah.
Right. I don't know if mojo is a specific term or
Oh,
not,
okay.
but yeah, but the idea
Spell
of it is the
spell
same. But a spell
bags.
bag is great because then it's just again contained. I have several spell bags that have crystals and coins and
What do you do
usually a
with the
little bit
spell
of oil and
bags?
salt and everything is in there for different blends that I'll
You
either
can
keep on me or keep tucked in corners.
You can anoint the spell bags with oil so they smell like the oil too. Like I
Hmm.
remember doing that before because I had a money bag once that I would feed.
Hmm.
I'd feed it with abundance oils and money oils and
And your
yeah.
breath. I had one by my protection, one by my door for a long period of time that
Oh.
I would anoint it like a little tiny drop on my finger and touch it and then give my energy and essence to the protection of my home.
So yes, you can put them by doors, thresholds,
Hmm.
windows, altars. They can be worn. They can be hanging from your rearview mirror. Maybe there might be laws against that. I don't know, but I still hang things from my mirror.
I do, or I did until I started having more people in my car and it started making them car sick. So I miss having
Oh,
the crystals dangling from my
oh.
mirror. But yeah, I always had tiger's eye and obsidian car
Oh,
for protection while driving. And they're still there. It's just now in my glove box.
I have a big old thing of amethyst that stays in my backpack at all
Hmm.
times.
I will say if you are doing something from your dangling from your like your ribbon in your car, make sure it's not a refractory kind of stone. So watch with quartz and stuff because you don't want rainbows bouncing around and distracting you while you're driving.
The other thing you can do with pouches, spell
Hmm.
pouches, is in your pillowcase. Put them.
Yes,
You
sleep.
could put like dream stones,
Hmm.
protection for your dreams and for
Yes,
your the psychic self that kind of goes roaming at night while your
hmm,
body's resting and plugged in. So
exactly. Ultimately, the point of protection magic is to draw a line for what you will and will not allow to come into your life, right?
yes,
Whether
right,
that's your home, your body, or the space around you. It's a great idea, and I love the idea of you can also do mental protections as well.
right.
So you are mentally setting blocks. This is nope, I will not think about this, or I am mentally not allowing the negative energy to come through. But sometimes you need
Hmm.
that little bit of extra help behind it. So it's nice to have a crystal or a stone or some herb or something else kind of acting as a secondary backup.
A lot of it is about wrapping our brains around the intentions.
Mm.
And sometimes we can, like you said, have a visualization. Like one of my favorite visualizations I was given one time, I was having kind of like I was prone to panic attack. And I was literally over here hurting my own feelings, having a panic attack over all the people that were, sending me bad vibes or whatever drama happens. And somebody was like, okay, I want you to visualize a fog surrounding you. And this fog is literally what you agree it's semi-permeable, right? So it keeps some things out and it'll let some things in because you want to leave out the negativity and people's ill wishes or whatever cross. You want to be protected from that, but you want to be semi-permeable because you want to allow in love,
Mm-hmm.
compassion, abundant, your intention, wrapping your brain around the intentions of what you will and will not allow into your space, into your home, into your car, into your body. So yeah, you can have the fog visualization where the fog kind of can filter out, or you can put together your spell jars or your
Mm-hmm.
spell pouches or your candles, and that is the fog. It's the thing that filters out what you choose
Mm-hmm.
intentionally, energetically to allow within to come in and what you choose to refuse entry into
Mm-hmm.
your life. And so it's very important that you understand what your boundaries are, what your limitations are,
Mm-hmm.
what energies you are willing to work with, and what energies you are absolutely not interested, not
Mm-hmm.
negotiating with.
Right. Sticking to your beliefs when it comes to will and will not tolerate. And if it's harmful to you, then it's probably not going to be something you want to tolerate. Now, sometimes you don't know the source of where things are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can have a good idea if it's a person or
Mm-hmm.
an activity or a situation is kind of drama filled, but sometimes you don't know. And so
Yeah.
having that kind of at least a light layer of protection is
Yeah.
handy to have. So then you set the limits for what you're willing to.
And again, I know I've touched on this in other episodes, but consent really is key in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of what you do allow in energy wise, what you do and don't want to work with. So you get to say, no, I don't want this chaotic energy coming into my life. You can not consenting to allowing things to bother you, to
Mm-hmm.
allowing things to take your peace from you.
Mm-hmm.
Consent really is key sometimes where you're just like, no, I will not accept this kind of energy in my life. If you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
like that, then I'm opting out, but come at me when you aren't like this or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But even like sometimes people just feel like they have a streak of bad luck, and sometimes doing a little something makes them feel empowered to kind of shift the energy around.
Absolutely. Oh, so do we miss anything for our ideas of basics and protection?
I feel like we've covered a lot of stuff. If we have missed anything, I imagine maybe some of our listeners can offer us more ideas around things that they've done for protection that we haven't mentioned, because I would
Mhm.
love to hear what other people do, what they have felt is necessary. We haven't even talked about like protection against unwanted spiritual advances, or although we do talk about like that you can consent out of those things,
Mhm.
but like sometimes people are like, I'm being haunted. Are you? And if you are, what can you do about that? So
Mhm.
that's a lot of times people are scared to work with dead spirits because they're afraid that you end up in a horror film. And so yeah, again, there's work that can be done around negotiating
Mhm.
entrance or not, and consent and spiritual protection. It's really good idea to set sacred space, to set a protective bubble before you make yourself vulnerable to working with spirit, before
Mhm.
you make yourself vulnerable to seeking out dead spirits and communicating with them, so that you're able to draw that line of, we will communicate in this space at this time, and then I release it and I let it go, and you're not going to just be showing up while I'm focusing on life.
Mhm.
I would love to hear what other people do as far as protection goes.
Yes, please.
So thank you so much for listening to the Queer Witch Project. If you like what you hear, give us a 5 stars, 10 stars, thumbs up, 2 thumbs up, as like, share, subscribe,
All of it.
comments. We love your interactions. We love hearing from you. Really appreciate it when our listeners email us.
And if there's a topic you want to know more about or an episode topic you'd like to suggest, please contact us at thequeerwitchproject@gmail.com or find us on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram with the handle @queerwitchproject. We upload every other week. And remember, queerness is a key to magic.
Be yourself and love rebelliously. Yay!
Bye!
Bye! And protect yourself. Yay!